Hey Staten Island, this is HealthWish, a conversation about the state of healthcare in the fabulous 5th borough. Our aim is to raise issues, raise awareness, and raise health. Because when we raise health, we raise everyone. Today, from the historic Marina Café, we're privileged to share a table with Staten Island University Hospital's Executive Director, Dr. Brahim Ardolic, and Chair of Medicine, Dr. Theodore Strange. The two longtime colleagues discuss family medicine, improving the health status of Staten Islanders, and the nature of heroism. Give a listen.
Hey Staten Island, I'm sitting here at the Marina Cafe with my friend and colleague, Dr. Theodore Strange. Welcome.
How are you, Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really an amazing opportunity for us to be here together. And I just wanted to kind of thank you for being here and just talk about this place for a second. We really wanted to have this at the Marina Cafe, mostly because I think it so typifies Staten Island in so many ways and what it's actually been through. So if you don't know, this place has been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
I remember coming here as a child. I also remember it being affected so severely by Sandy, and that was an awful thing. And I also remember them rebuilding this beautiful place. And then like so many other restaurants in the last 2 years, what they've been through in terms of trying to stay open and in terms of, suffering through what we've all suffered through on the financial side as well as on the medical side. A lot of these restaurants have been through a lot. So this is an example of everything they've been through. And I guess, you're a Staten Islander, right? You're a New York City kid, you're a Staten Islander, and you've, like me, you've lived through all these things. And I'm just wondering your thoughts about where we are now, where these businesses are now, and where these folks are now that are our neighbors.
Well, first we say thank you to them, right? During the crisis, as you well know, they came and supported us, bringing lunch, bringing food to us in our toughest times. We were so thankful and so appreciative and so fortunate to have their generosity in a time when they were suffering. But they did that out of the graciousness of their hearts. And that's what Staten Island is. It's a community. That's a real family community. And that's what makes this so nice. So thank you.
Yeah. So a little about you. So, I think most people know that you are, in many ways, the old school family doc, right? And a lot of ways that hasn't changed. In full disclosure, Ted takes care of my mom and dad and has for almost 20 years. Really since I was able to kind of help them with, choosing people, that's kind of how long Ted's been taking care of them for.
It's an honor. When another doctor chooses you, that's an honor for him.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is, you've been taking care of people in the same location in the South Shore for many, many years. And I think you have a much better understanding than most about, what's going on in this community and family medicine and understanding what people are going through with their regular things. And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts in terms of where we are right now in terms of general health for Staten Islanders?
Yeah, so I came out here as a resident, graduated in the same alma mater, downstate, you and I together, right? And Tom McGinn Sr. was my mentor. I call him my father in medicine, and I didn't leave. I started in '85, was his chief resident, and when I left chief residency in '89, he asked me to come to the south site, now called Princess Bay, to kind of reinvigorate the hospital. They had just purchased the hospital. And the South Shore was still a growing community in the city of New York. It wasn't what it was today. You grew up on the South Shore, so you know it. I was probably one of the only physicians on the South Shore. I opened up on Saginaw Avenue because a cousin of mine was a podiatrist there. We were opened up in a little small space in 1989. I haven't left. I'm still in that same space, a little bit bigger. And we grew with the community. And we grew, I moved my family down there in 1991. My wife and I moved to where we still live to this day. Our kids went to school at Our Lady Star of the Sea Parish. My wife still to this day teaches at our St. Joseph's by the Sea High School. And obviously in my career and in my life, she's been a very important partner with me in every facet of my life. Valerie, you know her. My kids have grown up out there. One of my sons is a resident, has worked with your brother in the hospital.
Yep.
My daughter, who's getting married this year, is moving back to Staten Island. She's a school teacher down in Virginia. And it's still a great community. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, Tiger Heights, but I've now lived more years in Staten Island than I've lived in Brooklyn. And my Brooklyn roots will never leave me, but Staten Island has been very similar to what those Brooklyn roots were.
So you talk about family. All right, so you are honestly the quintessential successful Staten Island family. Doc married to a teacher, child who's a doctor, child who's a teacher, very successful children. And it's interesting, that is such a wonderful and yet not uncommon story on Staten Island. It's about what Staten Island is regardless of, how high or low the socioeconomic class of the family is. One of the most interesting things about Staten Island that people don't realize, they know it, but they don't realize it, we have the highest number of dependents per household of anywhere in the tri-state area. So what does that mean? It means we have very tight families. We have elderly living with family. We have dependent children that are about to go out into the workforce that are still depending upon their parents. It's not unusual in Staten Island to have 3 or 4 dependents for a working couple. It's actually very common.
Correct.
And I guess the question is those seniors, right? So you've been doing geriatrics for a very long time. It's your specialty, and it's one of the very few specialties you can actually have, one of the expertise you can have that marries so well in with general internal medicine and what you do every single day. What are your thoughts on that population in Staten Island, and how do they continue to live, longer, healthier lives?
Yeah, I mean, that's my in-laws live within a mile of me. They live with my brother-in-law, who happens to work for Staten Island Hospital, same house. To your point, that happens. And that's what the South Shore is. It's very family integrated, is a great way. Cousins and nieces and nephews and so on. But to the point of the elderly, I got involved with the elderly way before I even became a physician. I went to Manhattan College, and I was a religious studies major also. In that religious studies, did not know that many years later that would become so much more important to me than even the biology, because the biology at the end of the day became easy, right? The sciences are really easy. But it was the end of life issues. It was the decision issues that had to be made. And that's the issues that we have to deal with. And the Princess Bay site, over the years, we've tried to accommodate the older senior patients because of the less intensity of the south to the north. Where the north, we do great things in our tertiary care and our quaternary care now, and in the emergent stuff that we do. But about 10, 15 years ago in my role at South, now Princess Bay, we developed a small geriatric program where we asked our nursing homes to send them there when they needed their care. We created a hospice unit that was quieter, that was gentler, that was a homier type environment. And now we're trying to create that same thing again, where the geriatric patients are no different in a sense from separating our pediatric patients. There's special needs for them. There are special needs for their hearing, for their vision, for their ambulation. And we need to pay attention to that because it's not just about the pneumonia, it's not just about the heart disease, it's about the totality of the care. It's about, unfortunately or fortunately, the end of life issues that we have to deal with. And we need to do that in a way that is humane, professional, but needs to occur because we're all not going to be here forever. And there's a point, right? And that's what's so, let me tie the religion to the geriatrics, and it doesn't matter what religion you come from. My quote in the office, as you know, is that you need to care, right? The Teddy Roosevelt quote is, nobody really cares what you know until they know that you care with a big C. We need to care for these people. We need to care because they have a lot, they've given a lot. We owe them back. They've been our mentors. They've been our role models. They've been our teachers. We owe that back to them. And we owe that back to them not only for the care, but for the caring.
And in terms of, look where we are. We're in this beautiful location. We're an island. We have 140 parks, right? We have more parks per capita than any place really in the Eastern Seaboard if you look at how big this island is and how much of it is dedicated towards parkland. And I often feel, if I go up into the Greenbelt or I go to High Rock or I come down to the beach, I'm the only person there. What are your thoughts on kind of how do we utilize this beautiful community that we have that I think is underappreciated towards health? Any thoughts on that?
So as you know, I'm a runner,
Yeah.
and I don't expect anybody running marathons. I'll be running my 25th New York City one this year. But I think getting out and walking, and we saw that during COVID, and I have to tell you, I live on the South Shore, so I'm by Conference House Park, and it was nice to see during that time when people were home, they were getting out, and they were walking the parks. And we need to get people to understand and know that more, because to your point, we're in arguably the most beautiful borough of the 5.
I don't think it's even close.
Not even close, right? And we underutilize it. I agree with you. And it was nice to see in the last 2 years people getting out. I have a little granddaughter now, and my wife and I will take her out in the carriage and just go smell the flowers. Sometimes I'll even jog with her. But, I encourage my patients. I encourage the people that I interact with. You don't have to run marathons. You need to go take a mile or 2 walk. Go down a mile, come back a mile. And there's some beautiful things to see. The shoreline, the marina as we see here. You go up to Mount Loretta and you look down over Staten Island. Some beautiful views. Conference House Park has a history that goes back to the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
So there's some really beautiful things we should take advantage of. And in doing that, we can promote health. We can promote wellness. And you can stay well and stay healthy with just some simple, easy exercises like taking a walk every day.
So just food for thought. You know, it's interesting. We recently ran a photo contest in the hospital, and we actually had a picture of a harbor seal from this harbor.
Right.
We had a picture of a bald eagle from the conference house. It was amazing to see the diversity of wildlife that we actually have here. I have this giant map of Staten Island in my office, and I'm fascinated by all the green squares where there are parks, and I'm trying to make it to see how many of them I can actually go see that I haven't seen yet. I've gotten to most of them, but I still haven't gotten to all of them. There are a couple that I'm coming across that I was shocked were even there, and they're beautiful. But I would agree with you that there's everything you want here. You can take a nice stroll along the boardwalk over on the North Shore, or you can really take a vigorous 2.5 mile hike along High Rock, which is an unbelievable hike, and there's so many opportunities for people to take advantage of that.
Yeah, there's a bike trail around the island, goes 50 miles. I've done it. You know, you got to know how to ride a bike, obviously. Last night, you had to see the 12-point buck I saw in Conference House Park, right at me, right there. So yeah, we should be taking advantage of it. You don't need to be on the streets. You can be in these parks. And healthy living is about doing the simple things. It gets your mind healthy, it gets your spirit healthy, and it gets your body healthy. And I think you got to do all three.
You mentioned that you're a marathon runner. And I think I can't have a conversation with you without at least bringing up this amazing and yet crazy event that happened while you were running a marathon a couple of years ago. So for those who don't know, Ted was in the middle of running his, at the time, 23rd or 24th marathon,
Yes.
and came across someone who collapsed and quickly used his medical skills to figure out the person was actually having a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
I don't want to give the details, but I would love for you to talk about it and then subsequently how it changed how you perceive some of these things.
So here I am coming off of the Queensboro Bridge, the Ed Koch Bridge, and I was about 20 feet to my left. I just heard somebody yell, "Help." I don't know how I heard it with the crowd and the noise. I believe it was some divine intervention, a guardian angel on my shoulder in my faith. And I went over and I thought, the runner fainted. I've seen that before. And I went to go help her. Her friend was crying behind her. And I quickly realized that wasn't the case. She had no pulse. She was 40 years old. Her name was Christy. I quickly yelled for a defibrillator, and EMS came, police were there. We actually had a defibrillator 4 times. We had it back. Not just myself, police, fire were there with me. Got her in an ambulance, and the scene was just chaotic, but stabilized. People were running around us, still running a marathon, and put her in an ambulance, and I was just there. And I remember the police officer saying to me, "So where can I take you? What can I do?" And I said, "My wife is waiting for me at 17. I don't even know what just happened." And I ran. And I fell into my wife's arms at 17. In part because, as you do too, and you've done many years in your career, you never leave a patient without knowing what's going on. That was my patient now. And I just left her, and I didn't know what, and it was hurting me to not know, what did I just do? I didn't follow her. And my wife said to me, "Just get out and do what your dad told you to do. You never not finish what you started." That was my dad's famous line. So I went and finished the race, and at the end, I just asked everybody what happened to this woman, and nobody could tell me. And I had a cousin that worked for EMS, and he quickly found out that she was at New York Hospital, arrested again in the ED, defibrillated again, brought to the cath lab, and she had a widowmaker lesion, which is just a small clot in an artery. And she only survived because she was in such great shape and because we responded so quickly. And I got to meet her 5 days later. It was one of the most incredible events ever. She thanked me, called me a hero. And I'm not a hero. I mean, I just did what I'm supposed to do as you would do what you're supposed to do. This is part of our life. A hero is somebody that would have been a non-physician and done something. I did what I was supposed to do. That's how I see it in my life. And
Ted, I got to disagree a little bit. I think there's a lot of doctors and non-doctors who, in that situation, they would have assumed it was somebody who just fainted and ran past. And I think the fact that you stopped to make sure before you knew what it was is what really, it's what caring about other people above yourself is really about, right? That's the human part is the part of being a hero that I think people don't take into account, right? It's not about what do you do once you know the person's in cardiac arrest. I think most people would do that. The truly human hero aspect of that is that you didn't assume she had just fainted. You actually stopped and affected your time. Because comically, I love the fact that you're dealing with a marathon runner, because as soon as you tell a marathon runner that story, the first thing they ask is, how much you think it affected your time, which I think is
Half hour,
hilarious.
5:16, I finished that race.
I think it's hilarious that people, but that's how you know you're talking to a marathon runner, is because that is so incredibly important. But the reality is you took the first minute to see what was going on, and then you realized, yeah, of course, at that point, oh my God, you're not going to let another human die. But you cared about her when she was just fainting and not just when she was in cardiac arrest. And I think that's where the truly heroic thing is.
Again, I still don't consider it heroic, because what we do, we have healthcare heroes all over this island. You lead 6,000 healthcare heroes right here on Staten Island every day. What I've seen in the last 2 years and the people that we've both led together, those are my heroes. The heroes that I work with every day, that I made rounds with this morning. So I'm just the same human being as everybody else. I just have a skill called physician, right? But my dad used to say, there are 5 fingers on your hand. Try to take any one finger off and think it's more important, and then pick up this cup. It's not as easy. So, whether you're the thumb or the pinky in life, we all have a role.
Sure.
And I'm proud of the role that I'm in, but I'm also proud of the team that I work with and the team that I'm with. And you've given me the opportunity to lead even a bigger part of that team, and I'm proud of it.
That's where we'll pick up next time, when the doctors discuss philanthropy, talent, and the evolution of world-class care on the island. HealthWish wishes to thank our very special guests, Doctors Brahim Ardolic and Theodore Strange. We're very interested in your health wish. Contact us at healthwish@northwell.edu. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again soon.